background.
We look backwards. How I get on that side now?
Because that's the way that part is sharing on that screen.
Oh,
But we get the chance to share with the peoples. We're already there. So, hello, YouTube. We are getting ready for our reset strategy session. For those of you that are seeing us live, if you want to join in, put your comments below and I can send you the information in a little bit. But there we are. Hi. Share your comments along the way. And the peoples is about to come in. So, babe,
yo,
today's conversation is about helping those individuals that need to shift their mindset. Because for a lot of individuals struggling through the process of how do I begin again? I got out the chaos. I got all these great friends, but still, we're going to go into deeper
okay.
discussion. All
Well,
right.
we're gonna do our best to answer their questions, and
Yep.
we're gonna have a good time tonight. Help some folks.
Indeed, indeed.
Hopefully, they'll ask us some questions and share with us what's on their hearts and minds, and we'll be able to help them work through some things.
Exactly. So it's 8 o'clock. I want to try to start on time so we can give you some opportunity to maximize the use of your time. Today, for those of you that are just getting a chance to listen to this, we are having a conversation to help give you reset strategies. And there's a group that we support called Life After Divorce because both of us are living our life after divorce. And for some individuals that have walked through the chaos and come out on the other side because you know that relationship wasn't good for you. And you also recognize that you have done all the things to try to get you in a better position. You've done the self-help books, you've listened to various podcasts, hopefully mine's one of them. You've gone to the therapist, you have these amazing friends that are there to walk you and help you through your journey as you reset, but they can't be with you 24/7. And you find yourself still feeling in some ways like this isn't working. Life after divorce really isn't functioning. How do you make the shift? Well, let's have that conversation. So, babe, start with you. You've gone through this.
Yep, I have.
How did you make your shift so that you have the life after divorce that you desire?
Before I get to that, something hit me as you were speaking.
Okay.
For the people that are struggling with life after divorce, what did you do before you got married? I'm just curious. What kind of
Well,
what kind of what kind of life did you have then?
I think for some of them, starting off, and I'll use me as an example. Before I got married at 21 years old, I wasn't doing a whole lot of dating. I was that little nerdy girl that off in the background. Dating was not a thought in my head. Hanging out with people like that was just hanging out. But I wasn't looking for relationships, but some people have.
Okay.
And if they started early like me, some of you know my story. For those of you that don't, I decided because all I knew was business from my family, entrepreneurship, and relationships did not make sense to me. So my very first relationship dating was with a contract. You know this one.
Yeah.
So contracts made sense to me because my family full of entrepreneurs did contracts. And so I thought that contract says this is when we begin, this is when we end, this is how we will have our confines. And I thought that a contract would be the best thing to make certain the relationship went well. We had clarity about what was going on. And if you already have the premier book, Red Alert, is he the one? The pocket guide to finding love of your life? And you've already saw that part written in there. So I learned, unfortunately, at 14 years old, contracts don't work.
14 years old, writing a contract for a
I
relationship.
know. So it was a struggle for me. And so my next serious thing that led me to being married, he was all I knew. He was my whole relationship for my adult life at that point, a third of my life with just one person. My whole adulthood at that moment with just one person. So I didn't
Interesting.
have that whole,
I,
what
I
do you
was
do
just,
before?
I was just, well, you just shared what you did before. You, you were building up to your contract at 14 years old. Okay, life after divorce. Well, first of all, I never thought about being divorced. You think about relationships, everything is hunky dory. You're having fun, you're in love, blah, 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 blah. All you see is sunshine and butterflies.
Mhm.
But then it happens, you know. But it didn't just happen that one day. Things start deteriorating. The things that you wanted, that you thought you saw in that person that you chose, you start seeing that it was some like erasable ink or something there, and it started to disappear. And
That,
you're like, wait a minute now, I know this was there in the contract. I mean, I know that this was there. Where did it go? You know, was I miss seeing things? Do I need glasses? What's going on here? I saw somebody that I thought was going to compliment me, was going to keep my heart happy, that I could love, that would appreciate me. We could work together, we could have fun, we could do things. And then
everything.
all of a sudden, this brick wall came that wasn't in my original site. So what happened? And so I started to analyze things. I'm like, okay, this is not going the way I wanted it to go. I'm not happy with this. But you hang in there because they say you're supposed to try to work things out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it still ain't working. So what do you do? Well, I got a little upset and I withdrew because my heart was no longer being taken care of. The things that I was doing were no longer being appreciated. It was more so like I was being taken advantage of. And that didn't make me feel good at all. Nobody likes to be taken advantage of. And so I felt like I was being used, and that made me a little angry. And so I just totally withdrew. I just went from day to day. It was like the basics were done because I was no longer happy. You know, it was more one-sided. And so I just kind of pulled away. And that's what I did until that one ended. I decided I can't live like this anymore. And I made a suggestion that we part ways. And that's what happened, you know. I was unhappy. I felt I deserved better. It's not what I signed up for. I was shot what you call it, like the shot. It's a Mickey. You know, I got set up,
Okay.
you know. And there are a lot of people out here who are great at what they do. They're representatives, is what I've learned to call them now, because they'll put up this front of all these things that look nice, that sound nice, smell nice, all that kind of stuff. But the true them eventually will show. Unfortunately, it takes longer for some to be discovered than others because they're better at it. They've been doing it for so long, or they're so smooth, or they just warm our hearts up, and we're just getting all warm and fuzzy. And before we know it, they've bamboozled us, hoodwinked us, and so it's different for everybody. But once you get to that point, I got angry. And I was like, I ain't dealing with this. This is not what I signed up for. And I became a roommate. I still paid bills, did the things I did like that, but wasn't no love. And so therefore I wasn't happy. And I stood as long as I could until they gave me an out. And when they gave me an out, I took it. I agreed with them because they told me that they didn't love me anymore. And I was like, okay. They blamed me for everything, told me I never did anything for them. Okay. So I said, basically, what you're saying is I'm no good for you, right? Okay, then we're
Mm.
done. I agree with you. So it wasn't me that initiated all of that. I just took the opportunity when it came and smacked it out the park. But I still had a longing in my heart. I still wanted to be loved. I still had a lot of love in my heart to give to someone else. So I still needed that part. But I had to wait. I didn't want to get burned again. I didn't want to jump right back out there with the wounds that I had on me and put that on somebody else. So I had to be patient. But at the same time, there's a good one on one shoulder, a bad one on the other shoulder. So the good one saying, wait, you deserve better. It's going to be okay. But that other little fella, he was like, hey, you you basically single now. You can go out there and do all that you want.
Let's get into that one because I want to unpack that piece a little bit because there are a lot of individuals that are walking through relationships that we have now got this thing in situationships. So those complex relationship pieces where you are still married on paper, but your heart's not in it anymore. And they're making their comments, but y'all are still legally together. That is still a relationship. That situationship piece, let some things just be stable before you go add somebody else into because you're just adding a new person into extra chaos, and that's not fair to that individual. So what did you do? Because I know now that you listen to the good side, because here I am. But what did you do? What did you do to make that shift so that someone can get an insight about how that works?
When I made which shift you talking about? At what point are we talking now?
The shift between the time where you knew that this situation wasn't working as well and you were keeping yourself situated, but you had those two on your shoulder.
Well, I couldn't listen to the bad guy until I was legally divorced. So I had to maintain who I was. You know, your character and your integrity are important. Who you are is still important. And so it was difficult. I had to basically just be like a roommate. Again, like I said, I paid bills, I did things I was supposed to do, but love didn't live there no more. And so until that time when they told me that I never did anything for them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and all the negativity came out, I was like, okay. Oh, and I used to argue. I would argue with you. And once I stopped, now I was bad because I no longer argue. You don't argue with me. Why? I learned how to keep my
Keeping
peace,
peace.
and so now I'm faulted for something that you used to tell me that I did. So I was like, okay. But once they moved out, and at the time when they moved out, it was a tough time for me because right after they moved out, I lost my mom. So that was pretty tough. So it was easier for me to transition into just being by myself, getting myself together, to make sure my mental was straight, my emotions were intact. And I did that. And then I had to look out for me, make sure I'm doing okay. How am I mentally, physically, spiritually, etc. And make sure I was okay because I knew in my heart I wanted to love. I knew I
Mhm.
was capable of it. I knew I had a lot in there, but I had to trust God to do what He does in my life. But I did kind of let God know a little something that, I wanted this again, but if He wanted me to do the same thing that I wanted, He would have to make it real clear to me. Because if not, I was going to leave it up to my own devices, which led me to a divorce the first time because I chose on my own. So God, let me know if you got somebody for me. And in the meantime, if I don't hear anything from you, I'm likely to get a little impatient and I'll be a gentleman of the streets.
That part.
That's the nice part. That's the nice way of putting that. But that's not what he had designed for me. So I kind of got, criticized and punished from my daddy, and I had to wait. So I just kept going about my life. I was in business. I did the things I was supposed to do. You notice beautiful flowers along the roads, but you couldn't pluck them. And I just kept moving along until, you know, that special flower comes into your pure view, and you be like, whoa, got to stop by the side of the road and examine this one a little bit further. That was this one. But, I didn't know much about her, but I started studying her. We were both in the same business organization, and eventually I started mentoring her. But in the beginning, I just liked what I saw. I liked what I heard. I was like, okay. And I just kind of made a few arrangements so that I could get to know her a little bit better, like having a seat for her beside me because she would often come late. So I'd block off a chair to make sure she always had a seat, little things like that. And then eventually, as time go on, you get to know people a little bit better, intimately or whatever, through business. And when I was asked to mentor her, I was like, oh, jackpot. So now is a greater opportunity for me to get to know her because now I'm working closely with her, mentoring her in business. So again, you get to share personal things, what makes you, motivates you, et cetera, and you share more things. Then we became spiritual friends. He was my spiritual buddy. And then we got to be just good friends. So it was a progressive thing. But all the while, I was assessing what type of woman she was. What kind of person is she? Because I knew what I wanted, I knew what I liked, I knew what I didn't want. I did not want to go backwards.
That part.
And so my antenna's up because I'm like, okay, looks good, smells good, sounds good, but I've been down that road before. So I was a little cautious, but that's where I leaned on my Heavenly Father to guide me. Lord, what are we doing right here? Because I told you what I wanted, but I knew it was gonna come that fast. Is this real? Can
So,
can I trust
all right.
this?
So let's pause there. So we want to encourage you, ask your questions along the way. We're going to share as much as we can share in this time about what we have already been asking a little bit. How do you make that shift when you know you've done all the things? Knowing what you don't want, operating in your authentic self is what you did. And that's what I did as well because I didn't have the dating thing that have a whole bunch of long-term relationships with people. That was not my journey. So I didn't know what that looked like. And then getting a divorce in your 30s, I didn't do too well with all the things in my 20s. And now, a decade later, with some of the same chaos, I was under the impression that after 10 years of the high school thing, now we got people that's sort of grown in my mind's eye. There should be a different thought process when you show up. But just because somebody gets older by age doesn't mean they get older in their being.
True.
But when you function in your authenticity, as you're growing and developing and moving into your best self, that's enough. Because I wasn't thinking about him. I wanted a relationship because I asked God also, I'm not doing this thing called marriage again. But if you want me to have it, you're going to have to make it plain. In the meantime, I just did Tanya. But I had that separate journey because, as I've shared before, some of you have already heard, I had to rediscover me. I didn't know enough about myself anymore because I didn't trust my judgment anymore.
Mm.
I chose a person, recognizing some elements about it in the beginning, but I married potential. Because when you
Wow.
marry potential, you're looking for some of those things to manifest. And I also wanted to extend some grace because we were both young. We met in high school. In high school, all of us are trying to figure it out. But on the outside of that, you're thinking, if I'm going to enter the dating pool later, yes, if I'm going to enter the dating pool later, that I'm going to be able to see some growth in this process, which is why I said earlier, the dating pool has pee in
You know, you crazy. You made a great point. You said you had to maintain who you were. That's where I think a lot of people go wrong. They feel that because a relationship broke up, that they automatically think that they did something wrong,
it.
or that that person left them. Even though if that person left them, oh, I must not have been enough. I got to change myself. Whoa, 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 whoa! Pump
I
the
felt
brakes.
that.
Pump the brakes. What good attributes you had in you that attract a lot of people, and sometimes you're attracting people that you don't even realize you're attracting. I was all around her, and she didn't know it until all of a sudden the light bulb came on. But you have to maintain who you are. There's good in everybody. And if yours is shining, don't you dampen that light yourself. There's too many other people out there trying to dampen your light. You let your light shine. Be true to who you are. You know there are things about you that you love yourself. I'm a good person. I got a good heart. I can cook. I can dress. I'm this, I'm that. I'm kind hearted.
Oh,
Whatever the positive attributes are that you have for yourself, if you got to stand in the mirror every day and tell yourself all those things, you do what you got to do. But don't let anybody make you feel less than who you know you are because for whatever reason, they no longer want to be with you. Now,
mm.
if it was the other case where you broke it off because the person wasn't serving you, that's fine. Stick to your guns, stick to your principles until God shows you the next person in line that he wants for you. That's what you have to do because knocking yourself down ain't the answer. Don't do that one. You stay confident and positive and fabulous. You do what you got to do. Well, not fabulous for the men, fabulous for the ladies.
There's something else I want to share because this is a question that was asked. So, to answer your question, what do you do in that shift? Sometimes you got to redefine what fun looks like.
Hmm.
For some of us that are entering into relationships earlier in our time, if you entered into your relationship like I did in your teens, fun meant something different. As you get older, fun morphs, fun changes, and even in a long term relationship, because there are some individuals that have been in relationships for 20, 30, or 40 years, and you're going through a divorce. Fun is really redefined different now because you have different elements about yourself. Your body is showing up different. Your concept about how you were doing things for some of us, especially if you were the caretaker, the supportive one, the giving one, you let your fun be merged into what their fun was and you don't define it for yourself. Now's the time to define fun for you. Because in my 30s, I had to make a decision because my girlfriends wanted to go clubbing. I enjoyed clubbing in my 20s. In my 30s with two kids, that was not my cup of tea. So I had to redefine what does it look like for us to have fun for my friends as well. Because in my friend group at that time, I was the only one that was married. So in my married state, I had a whole different element. So my fun was let's go hang out and find a new experience. Is there a pottery class that we can take? Is there a comedy show? We did comedy shows a lot during that time, and that became the joyful moment for a lot of us in that mess.
Hmm.
So as we went through sharing some of that,
Hi, Rhonda.
As we went through sharing some of the elements about the comedy shows, we changed what fun looks like.
That's interesting.
Welcome, Rhonda. Glad you're on the end. We're just sharing some of the comments that people were sharing with us that they wanted to hear about how to make this shift when you find yourself going through the chaotic situation. You made the choice not to be there, and all the things, the growth, the elements, the friends, still makes you feel like, is it enough? So we're walking through that conversation.
You're
So,
talking about fun.
yes.
You know, I'm very good by myself. I can entertain myself. I really can. I never hung with a lot of people, or I had pockets of people. Like I did a lot of sports and things like that. I never really hung out and went to bar. I never did a whole lot of that stuff. But once I got older,
Mhm.
and that's where the guys that were closest to me, they would go hang out at the bar. I'm like, okay. And I was never really a drinker or anything like that. But that's what they did. I was like, I would hang out just to be with the fellas. You know what I'm saying? But that wasn't fun for me. It was just more so company.
Mm,
You know,
okay.
I've fun. What did I do for? I don't know what I did for fun. I really don't. I mean, I enjoy being around people that I enjoy being around. That to me, I guess, was fun, but it wasn't a particular activity that brought me joy as, of having fun. As long as I'm happy and I ain't got no drama, I'm good. That's the way I went through it. But I would hang out with the fellas a little bit. I'd go to sporting events a little bit, but it was no particular, like you said, pottery. I ain't never done anything like that until you came along. You got me doing that painting and all that kind of stuff.
Aftermath of my divorce, something different. Because before when I was in that first marriage, I didn't do that stuff.
I was so used to working and just my biggest thing was spending quality time with the person that I was in a
Mhm.
relationship with. That was my thing. To me, that was fun. It's still fun. This is fun right now because I'm doing it with my wife and my best friend, you know.
So I want to also add, and please add your comments in. And if you want to come off mute, we encourage you to come off mute,
Yeah, talk to
have
me.
your conversation so we can expand it because we're just answering the questions that some people are giving us along the way and a few that they've shared in advance. So if you have something, use the comments, use the chats, and if you're on Zoom, use the section on Zoom as well. So with that conversation, there is life after divorce. And we want to let individuals know because some are wondering. I wondered too in the beginning. So if you're fresh and you're trying to figure it out, as he stated earlier, give yourself the space and grace to do so. In the meantime, one of the shifts I shared, be authentic. And then change the definition of some stuff. Sometimes we just got to change the definition of some things that you did with your ex because some of the stuff that you did with your ex, you enjoyed before they showed up. But because they're not there anymore, you're like, I don't even know if I want to do that. Don't let that get broken down.
What about this?
Redefine it.
What about this? Suppose your ex introduced you to some things that you enjoyed. You can continue doing those, just not with that person,
Exactly.
you
That whole
know?
thing.
Because I know that's well, I know one of your things is eating. You like to go out and eat, and I don't have a problem with it. She really does. The eating is fun for Tanya because it makes her happy. Not saying that she's a glutton, not saying that, but she just enjoys going out and having a good meal that she doesn't have to prepare. And I
Cook for a
understand it. And
long
you
time.
can go out into a social setting. We have a few places that we just love to go to, and it's kind of like if you ever watch the TV show Cheers, where everybody knows your name. We've got a spot like that where we walk in. We have our own private waitress, and the owner knows who we are. We have certain seats that we always sit in. Little things like that. To me, that's fun. I enjoy that because it's a friendly environment. The food is good, and other people will join in conversation with you sometimes. I enjoy stuff like
Mhm.
that. I'm more of a more intimate person where, I'll take a small group and we can just be hanging out doing a little something like that. That is good for me. It doesn't have to be a couples thing. I just like small settings. I have a thing about big crowds, but small settings work for me as long as it's peaceful. Like I said, no drama around good people that are just genuine. I like that kind of thing. But be yourselves. Don't give a lot of us. Man, people change when they get in relationships sometimes. You stop doing the things that you love and like to do because you want to do everything the other person does. No, let them enjoy some of your special things too. It's got to be a union in there, a compromise or something. Don't give up everything that you love for somebody else because I think that's a mistake because then you lose yourself.
And that leads into this conversation that we're having with doing this together. I lost me in that first marriage because I did a lot of the things that he wanted to do. because a lot of the stuff that I wanted didn't want to participate. And because I was trying so hard, I just stopped. In our relationship, if there's something that Eric does not want to participate in, I will invite him first, but Tanya's still going to do some of the things that she really want to do so that I don't lose me. You can still decide. And if you have to reset, because a lot of y'all know my story, I had to rediscover what did I like? What's my favorite color? What's my favorite flower? Do I still want to go to this place? Do I like these different things? That's part of the dating that supported me. Sometimes you just got to date you, and it's okay. For some of those moments while you're enjoying the experience and it looks like you're by yourself, just enjoy the experience and use it as a test element to say, hey, the future me may one day bring my future spouse here. Because he went to some of those spots. And then will I enjoy this? Because if I don't enjoy it, I don't need to bring anybody else here. What other things could I do? And what we end up having is some moments where there's a first. I may have gone there, but it's a first for him. And now I get the chance to see that experience through his eyes. What would you do? So share that. Let's shift it up a little bit because we can still go on and have a conversation, but we only do that as much as we are engaging. So before we wrap up, if you'd like to share something about your experience that we can expand on, if not, we'll be closing out in a little while. So let me pause for a second to see if there's any comments, questions, or thoughts. And if you want, you can share a little bit
I
while I
was
look.
just thinking about different things,
Yeah.
because the last time we were on, we were talking about loneliness,
Yeah.
and I said I was never really lonely. I was just doing things on my own, and with tonight's discussion and staying who you are and that changing yourself and all of that. I used to go to places by myself and I was okay. And it wasn't because I was lonely, it was just things I like to do. And because I didn't have a love of my life at that particular moment, I wasn't going to stop doing things I like to do. I went to movies. I love movies. And I would go to the movie theater, get me a big box of popcorn and some snacks and something to drink. And I sit there and watch whatever movie was out that I liked. And sometimes it was a movie marathon. And, I would go to a nice restaurant because I like their food. And people would look at me like, why is he sitting by himself? Because I like the food. And so I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed myself. And I encourage you guys to love yourself. Love yourself. You can't depend on somebody else to love you if you don't love yourself. Love yourself, whether somebody else is there to share with you or not. Keep loving yourself. And in time it'll come. Because I did what I had to do. And I love having fun. This one right here keeps it interesting. I never know what she's going to do next, so she keeps me on my toes. And like she said a few minutes ago, there are things that Tanya wants to do, and she'll invite me. And if it's something I don't want to do, trust me, I'm not going to do it, you know. And I'll say, no, honey, I don't particularly want to do that. She'll say, okay, well, I'm gonna go do this. Okay, enjoy yourself. But I generally want her to enjoy what she wants to do. And then when there are things that we do together, that's even better because we have made a lot of first. There are things that I've never done that she's done and vice versa. Then there are things that neither one of us has done. We got to do together. And we'll be like, hey, there's another first, and we get generally excited because we enjoy life together, you know. Um,
So let me pause really quick
oh,
because there is a question.
okay.
If you would like to come off mute, you can ask your question. If not, I'll just read it. What would you like to do? Just want me to read it? Okay. So the question is, how do you get started? I'm scared to get hurt again. Good question. Because I didn't want to do the whole dating thing at all. Because I'm a little bit awkward, it seems. And in my 30s, having a whole lot of thought process in the adult dating scene, I didn't want to walk through that journey. So, one of the things that I did to get started again was just make a list of joyful things that I wanted. You can get some magazines, you can go on Pinterest. I love going on Pinterest. Pinterest gives me a chance to make a board of the things that I like. Now, here's how I preface social media because people make this thing so complicated. I am in my 50s. For those that are in your 50s that need to have some ideas about how to navigate some of these things, let me make this a real simple conversation. If you are on Pinterest, it's like those little cork boards that we used to have that you stuck your little pins in. That's why it's called Pinterest. Pick a board add some pictures to it. Really simple. It's just now electronic. Instagram. Instagram is where you had your little flip book, where you looked at your family and your friends. That's your flip book. You pick the things that's on Instagram to share your pictures in your flip book. Put stuff on your page that you enjoy, that you want to share with others. That makes it real simple. Facebook. A lot of people familiar with Facebook. Facebook is just you having your little, I'm just saying, your little directory of friends. You got to have your little black book, or just for some of us, we had that binder thing that you had the little snap on, so you unsnapped it, where you had your address book of friends. That's Facebook. LinkedIn. LinkedIn is you sharing your information on the, I'm just saying,
I
on a
know.
little storyboard. You know how you had those little notice boards?
Y'all see what I mean?
Those little notice boards where you put, hey, looking for a job? Here's my information. Oh, somebody posted a job piece on this. You pull that off the
Take
storyboard.
one, right?
That is LinkedIn. So that's my quick social snapshot for those
Okay.
that are in my age range.
I have a question. The question was posed by a male or a female?
This was posed by a female.
Okay, good. That way that helps me direct my answer.
Okay.
Um, say the question again. Because you
How do you get started again so you don't get hurt anymore?
very slowly. You take your time, remembering who you are, what you're like, what you don't like, what you'll settle for, what you won't, what you'll compromise on, what you won't. Be true to yourself. Guard your heart with everything that you have in you, but don't close your heart. Please don't close your heart. Because the relationship didn't work this time doesn't mean the next one won't work. I've been hurt, Tanya's been hurt, but I didn't close my heart to being loved and being able to love someone else again. You have to take your time. I don't know whether or not you believe in a higher power than yourself. We believe in Jesus
Absolutely.
Christ. You
I
do?
took it off of you.
Awesome. Awesome. Trust your Heavenly Father to guide you. While He's preparing you for His Son, He's preparing His Son for you. And we have to give Him time for that because, like I've told Tanya plenty of times, we may have, I'll just say 10, keep it easy, 10 things that are not at the level God wants them to be at within ourselves. But that doesn't mean
Uh-huh.
He's going to work on all 10 at the same time, but He's going to work on all of them. So while He's working on you, preparing you for who He has for you, He's also got to work on that person, prepare them for you because He wants you, His daughter, to have the best that He wants you to have. So it takes time. So you have to keep praying, stay patient, keep working on yourself as He's working within you to bring out the best of you for this person and vice versa. So be patient, but you got to love you
Okay.
and trust God is going to have somebody for you because when most people say, when they do the vows, what God has put us under, God ain't put all these people together. I did not consult God when I chose that other
I didn't
woman.
know what that first one
I,
either.
I, I but see, God had revealed that to me. You chose that. You liked
Yeah.
what she looked like and all of that, and you chose it. You ain't asked me nothing. Tell a date did a
Okay.
whole yards. It's so I have to admit that I did that. So this time I said, Lord, if you want me to be happy, make it real clear to me because I can be a little hard-headed, a little thick
Yeah.
sometimes. Make it clear to me. And He did. And this is the funny part. Rhonda, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, she called me sir. I feel old. Anyway, um,
No, just
when
respect.
when when I said that to him, at the moment he told me to share it with Tanya, I'm gonna tell you her response because I said to her, I said,
Okay.
I don't know how, I don't know when, but we're going to be together. We were real good friends at this point, and she got upset with me. She was like, I don't see that. And I was like, well, Tanya, you don't have to see what I see right now. I'm telling you what, as my best friend, I'm sharing with you what I see.
No.
And so she was like, I don't know. And guess what happened that long after that?
What?
So let me add this because half the time when he says this, it make it sound like I had a true attitude problem. Here's the beginning piece. When you have a better relationship with yourself, you can have a better relationship with others. I was working on having a better relationship with Tanya. I wasn't looking to go out to try to find anything, and I had already had my conversation with God because I was scared of getting hurt again. I had my entire adulthood with one person. And I know
Yeah.
I got my perks. How was I going to invite somebody else in with all of this stuff? But I did not have enough of a relationship with Tanya to love all the pieces of me, from the top of my head to the soles of my feet. My first strategy, so that I was not scared, was recognizing God made me glorious. If I know I'm amazing, and if they can't figure it out, that's their problem, not mine. I'm going to continue to be amazing. And I decided to get to know me through God's eyes, because that third piece, when you have a better relationship with yourself, to have a better relationship with others, the third part, the glue that makes it all work out, is having a better relationship with a being greater than yourself. And so Jesus had to tell me who I was. Because if you have something that breaks down, it's best to go to the manufacturer. I
Absolutely.
broke down. So I had to go to the manufacturer. And when I went to the manufacturer, he told me I was fearfully and wonderfully made. He told me I was a masterpiece. If the creator of the universe is going to tell you that you're a masterpiece, who are you to let somebody else tell you otherwise? So I was not looking for him. But if God intended for his son to find me, I was just going to continue to be a masterpiece. So I did what Tanya needed. What do I need? If there's somebody else that's coming into this space, do I even want them in this space? If there's somebody else that's going to enter into an environment with me, am I really prepared to have somebody else in this environment with me? So I was working on Tanya, and I trusted God to tell me. And God and I talked on a regular basis at that point. It didn't start off like that. I had to work into that part. So
Yeah.
when God and I finally got our relationship together, as I grew more in my relationship with God, He was preparing me, and I didn't know. And He'd already told somebody about me. I didn't know. But what I did know was God was still giving me love letters, which is why I often share with individuals that may have experienced what I experienced, church hurt on various levels, because I've gone through the religious roller coaster ride. At the
That's where
end of
I'm at right now.
God never intended for us to have religion. He always intended for us to have relationship. And as a relational being, He knows how to help us navigate the waters so that we're not scared when a moment shows up. I just trusted God on my journey. And as I expanded my morning time from first 1 minute, yes, I only gave God 1 minute of my time in the morning, because in my head I didn't think it was going to work and I didn't want to be bothered and I didn't want to waste my time. So my 1 minute expanded to 5 minutes. My 5 minutes expanded to 15. That 15 became 30. And in that 30 minutes, and it hovered there for a long time, God let me know that my hurt came because I did not trust Him or me. When you trust you, you'll be fine no matter who shows up. When you trust Him, the one that shows up will be the element that will be a heartbeat for God, for you, because He's a relational being and we're
Yeah.
designed for relationship. So knowing you, loving you, recognizing that Rhonda is amazing. Oh, you're not going to be scared when you recognize, oh, I'm the masterpiece. Are you a part of this frame or not?
I like that one.
I like that too. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. I mean, that's what it's all about, you know. There's so many people and things, like I said earlier, that are out here trying to make you change who you are. No, God designed you the way you are for a reason. God, when He made this, He was like, "That's mine. I made that. That's good right there." You know, and you got to stand in that. That's not about standing on the mountain and pounding your chest. It's just knowing who you are and knowing whose you are. God didn't make
Yeah.
no junk, you know, and so we have to. I'm a mentor in high school athletics now, and I've been doing mentoring for a long time. And I teach my kids, those who are willing to let me help them get better mentally. I send them on a journey of affirmations. Tanya has one where she does 100. I give these kids 10 because I got to get them started. And I
I've
have
got a
them,
whole different group that I'm
yeah,
supporting.
I have them stand in the mirror after they write their 10 positive affirmations out about themselves or things that they want to be about themselves. And they start at night and repeat them in the mirror so they can hear their own voice, and they do it again in the morning, because once you've set in all that positivity overnight, you wake up and you replenish it. And those who buy in are doing better.
Okay.
because it builds their confidence because it's part of the training program that I have for them to get better mentally. And they believe they look at me like I'm crazy when I tell them, I said, but I don't tell you guys anything I haven't done myself. I used to have to look in the mirror and tell myself things. Now I just say it to myself. Eric, you're better than this. You can do this. I pump myself up all day long. In everything I do, I am very confident. And a lot of kids they'll say, "Well, coach, you can't be confident." Oh, yes, I can. I choose to be.
It's a
So, Ronnie,
choice.
you choose to be your best self every single day. No matter what everybody else around you is doing, whatever they're saying, it doesn't matter. You have one person you have to please, and that's God. And once he's
Okay.
pleased with you, can't nobody touch you like Tanya said. So you walk in that level of confidence and you're gonna glow. I promise you, it's no way on this earth you can look in the mirror and tell yourself positive things about yourself more night and morning, and you not smile and be happy. There's no way you can do it. Who
I'll
any
give it a try.
huh? See?
I'll give it a try.
Please do. Start with Tanya. I'm gonna start her with 10. Rhonda, write down 10 things, positive things about yourself. Write them out, recite them. You don't have to scream it unless you just want to, but you got to hear your own voice. It's something about hearing your own voice say good things about you. Man, you're going to smile. You can't help
Okay.
it. See, I didn't got excited. I keep hitting the table. But
Shaking up again.
yeah, I'm sorry. I get excited
Thank
because
you.
I love how God has brought me through things and taught me things that I can share with somebody else. So this opportunity is awesome for me. But you will smile, Rhonda. You will smile, and that smile will become infectious, and it's gonna get to a point where nobody can say anything to you that's negative. It won't penetrate you anymore because there's so much positivity in your heart, mind, and soul. It won't be able to make a dent in you. It'll just bounce off all the time. You just look at it and smile like nice try, Too fabulous.
Gotcha.
God told me I'm awesome, and that's what I do that every single day with everybody I'm around. I have to speak positivity because that's what God has called me to do. And whether they like it or not, they're gonna get positive from me because that's all that's in me. I can't do the negative stuff.
And can I add to that one? I'm not going to add my 100.
Not yet.
Now, I teach, share, and show what I know and do, but here's an addition to that. One of the things I had to do for Tanya, because my ex told me all of the wasn'ts. I wasn't cute enough. I wasn't this. I wasn't, right? So I had to decide to love the pieces of me that got broken down because I learned that in the aftermath of that divorce, and I encourage you if you want to do an autopsy on that relationship so that you can start mapping out some things because there's some stuff that may be in that relationship that got tied to something in your past that's embedded in your soul that made you feel some type of way. He
Mm.
brought up in the recesses that I had buried in my soul some pieces about me because as a child, people talked about my eyes, they talked about my face, they talked about my hair, talked about a whole lot of things. So I had a lot of self-esteem issues I didn't recognize I had. So I had to look in the mirror when I was saying those words and tell Tanya, I love you. And I had to tell me that I loved other parts of me. I love your eyes. I love your nose. I love your cheeks. I love your chin. Tell you about you so that you love all the pieces of you. That will show as a glow in your being. You'll have a spiritual glow. And this lady told me was, and she says, just something about your energy. I
Right.
just want to be near you. And I was sitting like, okay, this is weird. And she says, I don't know what it is. I was like, I like me. And now you like
I like
me.
being near you too.
I
Y'all are
like,
sweet.
and now you like me. That is what we're looking for in the world. Somebody just to like you for you. But when you like you first, makes it easy.
It really does.
So
Thank
we
you.
are wrapping up. Are there any final comments? Thank you for being here as well. Are there any final comments, questions, or thoughts that you may have before we wrap up?
Not here.
Okay, well, thank you. So I want to wrap this up by closing it out, like I tried to share with the story, because for some individuals, I have learned along the way with the thing that I call next level notes. My next level notes are those elements that gives me insight about how I start applying these life lessons, y'all. And since I had a conversation about being a masterpiece, that came out of Ephesians 2:10 when I was reading my expanded version about God. And that is where he helped me gain some understanding about me. And as I was reading Ephesians 2:10 and thinking on it, and I had an idea about, God said in the very beginning of that book that he was a creator. And just like a master painter creates elements, he called us a masterpiece. A little later on, after reading that, I heard a story. The story goes like this. There was a painter that was touring the world. And as he was touring the world, he went inside of one of those small shops. You know, those little tiny shops that are off to the side? You can often find some great things in those little hideaway places. So he decided to go inside of this little hideaway shop. And as he walked through, perusing, looking at the various things, the shopkeeper came over to him and said, "When you're ready to look at anything or have any questions, just let me know and we can have a conversation about it." Well, he said, "Thank you so much," as we all typically do when we're walking through the store. Ideally for us, just window shopping. And as he continued to walk, he got further in the back of the store. And at the very end in the back of the store, he noticed a painting that was sitting on the floor. It had cobwebs on it. The frame was broken. The picture was a little tattered and torn. And it had so much dust on it. You knew that nobody picked that thing up. Nobody was looking at it. Nobody ever seemed like they really wanted. And the shopkeeper didn't look like he was going to do anything with it either. Well, the shopkeeper noticed that the painter was staring at this picture for so long, and he came over to it. And he said, "If you're really interested in it, I'll get it fixed up in a more pristine condition, and then we can talk about it so that you can have this to add to your collection, because it looks like you're an individual that loves to add amazing things to your collection." And the painter said, "Do you mind if I just take a look at it now?" And the shopkeeper was like, "No, I don't know if you really want to see it in its current state." But the painter was a little adamant about it, so the shopkeeper picked it up, dust off as much dust as seemed just to pick it up, and the painter held on to it, dust off more of the cobwebs, got away a little more of the dust, and recognized how much this particular painting was in disrepair. This particular painting did not have the love and care that paintings often should have or
Yes,
could have.
honey. Is Uncle Kyle back? Okay.
And for this
Then we'll be
individual,
talking.
as the painter was
Um,
taking a look at that, the
okay.
shopkeeper
Probably
noticed
before
while
we
he
go
was
get us
taking a look.
vaccinated. Vaccinated. So
Hold on a moment, let me walk through that. The shopkeeper noticed that the painter was really interested in it. So he made the statement about how I want to put this together for you. And if you want it in its current condition, I'll give it to you. And he named some astronomical price that didn't make any sense at all. And everybody that would have heard that price would have known it didn't make any sense at all. So the painter said, "Okay." And the shopkeeper looked at him thinking that he would possibly haggle that price point, but he didn't. He just paid the price that was asked for the painting that he already knew was overpriced in its current condition. And while the shopkeeper was wrapping it up, he asked, "Why do you really want this painting in this condition now?" And the painter said, "The thing that you don't know about this painting is that when it was painted with love and care. It was framed in such a way that brought out its beauty, its glory, and its glow. And I know that because I'm the one that painted it. And when I painted it with a clear thought in mind. And I will go and I will refurbish it so that it can still be poured into the earth what I intended for it to share with the world. And the price, I'll pay whatever price you decide because you don't truly know the full value of it. And as I restore it, reshape it, and revamp it from its brokenness, it will once again be loved. It will once again be cared for. It will once again get what it needs because it still has value, whether you see it or not. That was part of a story that reminded me that I am a masterpiece, and that master painter was Jesus' love for me, a high price that he paid when he hung on the cross for my sins and yours. And if somebody doesn't recognize how much you bring value into the earth because they clouded you over with dust, left you to the cobwebs, broken your frame, scratched up your painting, you are still valuable even in your state of disrepair, because a price, a hefty price, has already been paid for you. So that is the story of the masterpiece. And we thank you for letting us join you on the journey.
Man, that was awesome. That was awesome.
So thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you on the next session that we have of the reset strategies. Put your comments below. And if any of this resonated with you, then like, comment, and share this with others so that we will know how to support you. And if there are questions you have in the future, you can leave the questions in the comments below and we'll answer those as we have our next session. All right.
Take care, everyone.
Take care, everyone. See you next time.